A fresh approach to personal finance, one that is less about navigating complicated spreadsheets and more about understanding your personal relationship with money. That is the promise made in a new book by a best-selling, award-winning Canadian personal finance educator. Here to talk about Save Yourself, a new approach to thinking about money and taking control of your financial future, is author Kelley Keehn. Welcome.
Great to be with you, John.
I want to start by talking about the title, Save Yourself. As you put it in the book, no one is coming to save you, but you don't need saving. You need support, clarity, and a plan that finally makes sense for your life. Essentially, you don't need saving because you can save yourself. When did you learn that lesson?
Oh gosh, I think we're still all learning that lesson, John. I mean, especially with the narrative that's going on, it's so easy to complain. It's so easy to blame the government and blame everything that's going on, blame the big banks. I remember when I worked for a bank, gosh, 30 years ago, I'm aging myself here, and clients would come in all the time bemoaning the profits of the banks. I get it, but the rich are investing in the banks and are investing in the things that make money. So I did want this book to be titled No One is Coming to Save You, because as a personal finance educator the last 20 years, people always ask me, what should I do? What is the number one thing I should do if I'm drowning in debt, if I'm feeling anxious, if I just, don't know what's going on with my life? And it's like, look at your situation. John, people don't want to look at their situation. We used to get bills in the mail where you'd have to look at your credit card statement and see how long it would take you to get out of credit card debt if you made the minimum payment. Now everything's online. We don't even see that anymore. So I just wanted the message of this to be, no one's going to knock on your door to save you. You get to do it on your own. When did I learn that lesson? Many times in my career, and every single time I try to get to the next level. So I don't write personal finance books and my 12th one because I have no money problems. I certainly have gone through many of my own and still do.
I guess what I was getting at, though, was that one of the pieces of advice you received as a younger person was to marry well, and obviously you turned that upside down more than once.
Yes, indeed. It's so interesting because I was raised by a wonderfully loving single mother who did a lot of stuff right with money, but she was a waitress supporting three kids. So as you can imagine, there was no money there. But I had some very wealthy uncles, and they would talk about stocks and bonds and had all of this financial confidence. And every time I asked them or my mom, how do you get ahead in life? I'd get a little tap on the head and say, you're smart, you can do anything you want, but make sure you marry rich. So did not take that advice at all. And I think that nobody should depend on someone else when it comes to their finances. So yes, thank you for reading the book, John, and sharing that little nugget with your listeners and viewers.
Now, you open the book by saying this isn't your parents' financial playbook, as if to signal right off the bat that it's time to throw away all the old assumptions about how we think about money. Um, Sweeping question, but it's a good way to get us going here. Why do you think the old rules don't apply anymore?
Well, it was a simpler time, and my older friends will lament with me how you had pensions, you could afford a home, you actually didn't need an incredible income just to get into a modest neighborhood. It is impossible today. You're coming to me from Vancouver. I mostly reside in Toronto and Edmonton, but I mean, it's impossible. So we have to think in new ways, and we want to not resign ourselves to just say, well, there's no way to get ahead. There's no way to live in this reality. And if I can sum up this book in one quote, which I think about every single day, is you do not get what you want, you get who you are. And I want that to sink in. So I can set all the goals I want, health-wise, finance, with my business, with my employees. I get who I am. And that is the identity play here. And that's why I've written so many books. And this is my search and quest in life is, to go in a TFSA or an RSP and save 10% of your income. We know all of these things, yet, behavioral economics says, we say one thing, we do another thing called the implementation gap. Why is this? It's because we have stories residing within us from our childhood, from our teen years, from our culture, from our friends. And yes, who you hang around with matters immensely. It's understanding those stories, seeing them and managing them. You can't entirely break them, John. Like I have that poor kid within me that's always going to be there, but I can recognize it, I can manage it, and I can map my goals and my identity across each other to see where they aren't going to align. And I think that is the most important work that we do when we want to make a change in our life and evolve, that it's not the science, it's not the math, it's not the things we know how to do. It's the emotions that are going to trip us up and then create the shame and the guilt and all of that I don't want people to spiral into.
Well, this is something that you get into in the book at great depth. The idea that we're wired a certain way to think about money. You get into the science, the neuroscience, and then yes, these learned behaviors or stories that we carry around with ourselves. How did you discover this, and what was the most interesting part about unpacking the science behind how we think about personal finance?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what keeps me up at night. Discipline with my health comes really easy. So if I would have written a book on that, no one would have read it because they'd be like, you're annoying, go away. Money, as I told you, with a single mom and wealthy uncles, I didn't get the money from the uncles. I still had to earn it. So it really tripped me up with money. And, my clients taught me a lot when I was in the financial industry. I have very wealthy clients at a young age, and I got to see how messed up they were with money. If they had $1 billion in the bank or were 5 million in the hole, they had money issues. So 20 years ago, I said, hey, I want to write a book on the psychology of money for my clients. How do you think, feel, and believe about money? And John, it was all anecdotal. There was no fMRI, so neuroscience was at its infancy. Behavioral economics wasn't a term we used. The psychology of money was just barely being talked about. Now, fast forward 20 years later, this has been my obsession. Why do we say we want these things and we don't do them? How is our brain tripping us up? And yes, it is. At every moment, just think back to the holidays, think back to Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Were you your best financial self? I can put my hand up and say I wasn't. So that's what this book is all about, is the newest evidence and what I've been living and teaching for 20 years, and hopefully bringing it to my readers in a format that, dare I say, is a little bit fun, entertaining, and definitely no finger wagging or shame. It's all about a can-do attitude. And yes, little things do make all the difference.
One of the ways in which you do that, and this is a good jumping off point, is your use of characters in driving your points home. I spoke with Dave Chilton, who I know you know very well, about the latest edition of The Wealthy Barber. And like him, it seems like you work very hard to make this as relatable as possible. When did you learn that lesson?
Actually, that was, and Dave is amazing. He's been an amazing mentor through my entire career. Wonderful. No one has written more of a seminal book than David. So definitely get his and then get mine second. And you can even get it free at the library. It was actually my publisher, Simon and Schuster, a few books ago. And my literary agent had me write a proposal, and they were like, no, we don't like it. We need you to write more like David Chilton. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. But they helped walk me through it. And I mean, I've been trying to hone my storytelling for years, and I know that I relate best as well through characters. So I owe that to Simon and Schuster a few books ago. And my readers have said that they appreciate that the most, because who wants to just read a bunch of financial information, right? You want to see these characters, the missteps they made, their happy ending, where they went wrong. And yeah, my last 3 books have really had that format.
Now, one of the closing chapters of the book, and it's one of the things that makes this book different than others, is how you look at the impact of artificial intelligence on financial planning. So what impact do you see AI having in the coming years?
Well, as someone that really values advice, I'm a personal finance educator, so I can only take people so far. I believe in financial advisors, planners, coaches. Of course, you got to get the right ones, but not everyone can afford that or has enough money to do that. On the other side, I just want to say, John, if you're swimming in debt and you're suffering, please reach out to a nonprofit credit counselor or an insolvency trustee. At least get all of your information. But we are in the age of AI. There's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to finfluencers and are they paid to promote certain things. I work with my chat GPT very personally. On my diet, on my budget, on, investments. Now, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Not all of it is accurate, but can it teach you a lot? Yes. Will it teach it to you in a way that never makes you feel stupid? The one thing I love about AI, it's always encouraging you on. It's always like, I had a misstep with my finances. I said I was going to do this and I ordered Uber Eats for $120. Now my budget is off. Help me back. Like, this is something that is pretty difficult to get on one-on-one coaching, or you're going to pay a lot for it. And those are the people that need the coaching. So yes, it's not perfect, but gosh, you take all of the books out there, all of the apps, all of the information from the entire world that we know, and AI can probably help give you some basic fundamentals that can actually move the needle with your life. So reading's great. By all means, read all the books. But you also may be stuck on what these action steps are, or creative ways to not spend money this last Valentine's Day, or whatever it is. AI is definitely going to give you a lot of ideas you might not have thought of.
So you're not worried necessarily about, say, Chat GPT putting financial advisors and educators like yourself out of business?
I think it's not possible. At the end of the day, I know what to do when it comes to my health, and I still have personal trainers. I still have a Pilates coach, because I know that having someone hold my hand is going to take me further than me doing it on my own. But for the person that wants to do it on their own, fantastic, do it. But for most of the population, they're going to be wealthier if they have an advisor. They're going to feel more calm. They're going to navigate, financial storms, or they probably need, if they're drowning in debt, like I said, they need a nonprofit credit counselor to help them out, or an insolvency trustee. So definitely, this does not replace professionals. And for the professionals out there that don't understand how to use AI to augment and complement what they're doing, they will soon be out of business. But most professionals and educators, this is a very helpful support for them.
Maybe a good way of looking at it, as you put it, is not because it gives you all the answers, but because it helps you ask better questions.
100%. Yeah, helps you see your blind spots and where you need to learn more. Yeah.
What do you hope people get out of the book?
I hope that they see their money identity, that they see their identity, that they see where they're holding themselves back, that they see the story that's untold, that's limiting them, that they just have these aha moments. I hope that they see that they need to bring people into their life. Environmental design is so important, not just your physical environment, but the people you hang around with. Now, that might not be possible, John, if you're in a socioeconomic environment that you just can't get out. But let's say you wanted to get in better shape, just join a running room. Even if you're the last one and everyone's 5 miles in front of you, they're going to take you to the next level. With the internet, you can join a money group, you can start a mastermind, you can get around people that are questioning their financial story like never before. So I hope that people see that there's no shame and embarrassment in where they are. Change is possible at every single age and stage. And that you're worth it. You are absolutely worth it to have this conversation with yourself and make some changes that not just impact your finances, but your entire life.
A new language to talk about money without shame, a new lens to see your past without blame and your future without fear, and a new map to build emotional and financial security on your own terms, as you put it.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better. That was brilliant. Thank you, John.
But you did. That's from the book.
Oh my God.
The name of the book is Save Yourself, a new approach to thinking about money and taking control of your financial future. It's published by Douglas and McIntyre. My thanks to personal financial educator and author Kelley Keehn.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, John.